when I get stuck in a loop, it hurts. Like, it actually causes distress. And so I want to be out of it. But also, once I'm stuck in it, it's hard to transition out of it.
I'd like to welcome Ryan Steiner. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm autistic, and I'm a dad, and I like to call myself a dadvocate because my daughter's also autistic. I'm a husband, and an endurance athlete, and an artist.
Wow, I love the word advocate. I don't think that I ever heard that word before.
It's made up. I can't claim being the one to make it up, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it too.
Thank you. It's a new word and it's an awesome word.
Yeah.
So can you bring us back to your childhood? What was it like growing up with autism?
Well, when I was really little, like, it was difficult because I was a Gestalt language learner, so I had speech, but it didn't make sense.
Mhm.
And so I had precocious speech, and I said a lot of things, and quoted a lot of movies, and people thought I was communicating, but I was confusing. And so I spent a lot of time upset because my needs weren't being met. And that caused a lot of problems, and I would run away, and it was difficult, and I couldn't make friends. And I never could, like, pay attention in class, even though I was absorbing the information in book format. And so they didn't know where to put me because I would test really well, but I wouldn't do any of the schoolwork or be able to participate in, like, classroom activities.
Oh, okay. Since the last time we talked, you mentioned the word gestalt. Dive deeper into that topic because I think that it is starting to catch on. A lot more therapists are paying attention to gestalt processing language.
Well, I ended up in an institution, in a locked facility, maximum, like, security institution, because I just couldn't communicate my needs, and it was difficult, and a lot of things happened to me that weren't great. And when I got out of that, when I was 18, I decided that I wanted to learn about what was wrong with me from a academic perspective, because I didn't really understand what the things that people wanted me to do. And so I went to college, and the first exposure that I had to Gestalt was long before we were talking about Gestalt language learning. It was something I learned in cognitive psychology class that was about that Gestalt is that the whole is more important than the parts of things. And so that for me was really kind of breakthrough in how I understood the world. Because the older I got, the more I understood, and the more I was able to create memories, because it's difficult to really remember specific things from my childhood because I didn't understand what was happening. And I do better when I can see the whole picture. And so as I got older, things started to fall into place. And that made a lot of sense to me, the way that my brain has to have something in its entirety before I can understand all of the little parts that go together to make that. And so that made sense. And I was trying to tell people that even though I I will, when especially when stressed, I will revert to speaking in movie quotes, and I do what's called extrapolate quite well and can carry on conversations now. But as a kid and early adult, it was predominantly that mode of conversation. And so when Gestalt language learning came out, I really grabbed onto that because I'm like, that's the whole I needed to understand the parts of why I couldn't communicate. And so then I could extrapolate further, dissect the parts of the movies or books that I was trying to use, because the way that my brain does it is almost too complex and I have to make it into less words. And so it's been difficult to learn to communicate like that. And it's really fun to be in a time where I can communicate and hearing people talk about that, especially because that's how my daughter also communicates. Mm-hmm. And so it was easy for me to learn to communicate with her in that manner. I recognized it long before other people believed it. But that is an easy way to express like what a Gestalt is. Like for her, there's this scene in a show that she likes, and the bear puts his hands on his ears and he screams, "The blue rocks are loud!" And so when things are bothering my daughter, when there's too much going on or whatever, she'll play that. She's completely non-speaking, but she'll play that section of her show over and over again until the atmosphere that she's in is quieted for her. So what the blue rocks are loud, that phrase has a meaning that is singular. Like for a neurotypical non-Gestalt brain would say it's loud. But Kala says the blue rocks are, because that's what that means. And so, but it's the inflection, the hands on the ears, like everything. That not just the words, not just the script, but the whole scene of the movie creates that Gestalt in her brain to express the feeling that she's expressing. So it's so loud that she has to put her hands on her ears, and it's distressing. And so you have to look at the whole picture, not just the script. And I think that's so fun to see that being dissected from different perspectives.
Right. That is so fascinating.
Talk a lot.
Yeah. I think that I remember some of my clients who had that kind of, I would say, behaviors or that kind of mannerism. Like sometimes they would say things that are not really relatable to the context. And, as we work with them for quite some time, then we understand what they are trying to say. But at the beginning, we don't really know what that means. So for example, I would have a client who would watch a show and they would stop at a certain part of the show they watch and just repeat. They watch the same part over and over again. Have you seen that? Or were you like that when you were younger?
I'm still like that. Sometimes it's an attempt to meet a need. It depends on other contextual things. Sometimes I'm stuck in a loop and I can't get out of it because the sensory need is being met, a communication need is being met, or not being met, either way. Sometimes the loop is distressing. Sometimes it seems pleasurable. That pleasure also reaches a distressing note. Like I think that a lot of times when my daughter is laughing because she's stuck in a loop and she's watching that same thing over and over and over and over again. And sometimes she'll cry and like it's reminding her of something that she needs to work through. And so for example, she really fixated on this portion of Dora the Explorer episode that was the big red chicken, and they're looking for the big red chicken, and they go up this hill and they can't find the big red chicken, and they're like, oh no, we can't find the big red chicken. And it was this like distressing, and they're really upset. And she would pause it at this part, this oh no, over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it took a long time to figure out that so it was during COVID restrictions. She had brain surgery because she has a shunt in her brain. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't allow parents to be in the recovery room during that period of time. And we told them that they needed to make an exception, that she would be distressed if she woke up and at least I wasn't there. And it ended up being a big trauma for her. She woke up, I wasn't there. She started ripping at her stitches, and just like they came running to the floor where we were waiting in her room, and they're like, get dad. And I had to jump in the bed with her and soothe her. And so it created this trauma. And so for her, the distress that Dora feels when she can't find the chicken, we can't find the big red chicken, it became this manifest of that. And so she was just looping in it, looping. And so at first we just tried to stop her from watching it because she kept crying, and it was just like constant crying every time she came upon that. But then I was like, okay, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. What is all of this that's happening? And so I like talked to her through Dora finding the chicken, because if you just watch a little bit further, Dora finds the chicken. The hill they climbed, it was the chicken. Mm-hmm. And so I used that to then talk to her about how, mommy and daddy aren't going anywhere, because what happened was that she was afraid that she couldn't find us. And so we talked about that, and she eventually worked through it. And then that same thing, when she gets caught in a loop, we just try to figure out where that loop correlates to life. And like I said, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But the ones that stick in my head are the ones that we had to solve that were bad, because it's stress for me. So
okay. I remember this one specific client. He loved watching what's that show? Little Baby Bus. Like somebody made a distorted version of Little Baby Bus, and it became like a quite scary video. And he would find the exact video, he would watch it, and he kept watching it over and over again to the point that he got so upset and he started bawling. And so we decided not to let him watch that show anymore, and he got even more upset after that. It's more like addiction, withdrawal. It was tough during that time. Then he learned that he could not have that.
But, oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just, that's why I said it's hard to distinguish, because sometimes it's a loop and it's just distressing. And the video that you're the like distorted weird version, my daughter found one that was like Peppa Pig in that like distorted version, and she obsessed over it for a really long time, and it really was like addiction, and she would become aggressive, and if you tried to take it away and stuff, and it bothered me. Like I'm just like walking around with ear defenders on every time she would play that video, because it was just it was awful. Yeah. But I like that same distorted thing, and I do get stuck in those kind of loops as well. And it is, that's like the brain in a glitch, like, and it is the only way to get away from that is to separate from it. And a lot of times the transition in separation, and then the added level of the videos and the blue light and the dopamine and all that. So yeah, I feel like when I was a kid, it was my books I was obsessed with, and so that was paper and type, and so there wasn't that additional level of addiction.
Yeah, I think it's tough too, because sometimes when we want to find motivation for a learner to engage in desired behaviors, right? We find something that they really like. So at first they like the thing, and then it becomes a new obsession, and then now we have to do separation from that new obsession.
Yeah. It's so easy too for the brain to get obsessed. My wife will cue me that my brain is perseverating on something, and I have to make an effort to pull away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You're perseverating, Ryan. And usually it's thoughts, you know, because I'm an adult and I don't watch a lot of YouTube, but I will get stuck on a video, like scrolling on social media, and I'll watch the same video just over and over and over for an hour or more before my wife's like, "Hello, you're stuck," and I have to get out of it.
I see. It's great to have somebody to remind you.
Yeah.
But
And to be willing to accept the reminder.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people get upset about it. I think it's harder for kids.
I do get upset about it too, but I desire to not feel like that. And I know that that's like when I get stuck in a loop, it hurts. Like it actually causes distress. And so I want to be out of it. But also, once I'm stuck in it, it's hard to transition out of it.
Did you ever think that you were gifted in some way?
I mean, I didn't. I suppose other people thought that I was gifted. I have hyperlexia. So I was a precocious reader. I was speaking in full sentences, they were quotes from the books, not full communicative sentences at 9 months. And I could read I was showing evidence that I was reading by the age of 2. And so they thought that I was a genius. But I actually and that's something that people don't really talk about, because hyperlexia is a thing that people are like, wow, is that it also, not in everybody, but I also have an intellectual disability. And so my ability to comprehend what I'm able to read maxed out eventually.
What do you mean?
In more of an elementary school level. And then it took a lot of concentration to understand things higher than 5th grade level.
So,
but then I have excellent spatial skills and am an artist. Like I wanted to be in my art studio for our podcast, but my internet is not working the best. But I create huge sculptures out of trash that are shaped like people-ish and bugs and stuff like that.
I actually
just
saw.
paper.
That's awesome. I saw your picture. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it here. Is this the piece of art that you showed on Facebook?
I mean, I have some of my art on Facebook. Yeah. I just sold some sculptures in a art show. I probably posted those.
You did. Here, the green tablet.
Oh yeah, that's a painting that I did the other day because I got a new airbrush and was trying it out.
What does it say here? Tail or
it says a tale of empathy. So my for about 30 years I've been collecting my charts from all the hospitals I've been in and all the facilities.
Wow.
And I've been journaling and stuff, and I was obsessed with books as a kid, and especially stories about people making it through after hard stuff. And so I always kind of decided that someday I would write a book about all of my trauma and how I got here. And so I saved all of that for a long, long time. And then I realized recently that I don't I don't want to make myself that vulnerable with words, because even as an advocate, I find it difficult to communicate what I really want to say, because I still struggle and I use a whole lot of words, which is also difficult to understand, even so. And so I decided to destroy all of my journals in writing and put them into art. So all of my sculptures now contain bits of that. And so that painting is just a rough sketch that I put together of the tail that's actually on a sculpture that I have. Because as a kid, I was told that I didn't have empathy, because I feel empathy differently. But I actually care immensely about other people, so much so that it's painful. And so I learned that my empathy is different. And so it's the tale of empathy. And I spelt it like tale story of empathy, because my paintings are now my tale of empathy and how I feel. And so it has a hand on the end of it, because on the sculpture, it's actually patting the sculpture on the back. The tail is. It's placing its hand on there. And then the words around it are cut from an old journal that says, no matter who you are to someone else, you're no one until you're someone to yourself.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I would love to see your studio sometime.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome in there. I have lots of art.
So is it completed yet?
Is it what?
Is it completed yet?
My art in my studio? I mean, it's my art studio. Like, I work on art in there. So yeah, I mean, there's finished art in there and stuff that I'm working on, because that's where I work on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just moved into a new home, so I'm just asking, is your studio complete?
Oh yeah. Yeah, mostly completed. It's difficult to get all my stuff in place. I don't know if you can see this, but this is one of the sculptures that I sold.
Okay, it's a little bit blurry.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and you said that it's made out of trash?
Yeah, it's all made out of trash, like old screws. This one has wings from a lawn ornament. It's an old book that I burnt, and like I find, like I race my wheelchair, and so while I'm out training on the trails and stuff, whenever I find old discarded rusty metal, I pick it up.
It's incredible. Where can we go to shop your art and support you?
Well, I have an Instagram that I'm working on putting putting an Etsy on there. But currently, I just sell art when it's in a gallery.
This is so wonderful. Thank you. It's incredible. Can you actually,
Thank you.
last time you were talking about you receiving ABA therapy, but ABA therapy back then was very different, right? Some of the things we do not accept now as a practice. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, I got shock therapy, and a lot of punishment instead of reinforcement. And it was based in like making me comply and sit still. And so I have a lot of like anxiety about how my body moves and how I talk, because I would get shocked if I was not behaving correctly.
Wow, that is just horrible. Do you still have anxiety until this day?
I have extreme anxiety. I don't I have agoraphobia. I do go out. I do races and I go out and I I work really hard to establish safe people and safe places, because I have really bad meltdowns, and they're triggered by anxiety of going out and socializing. And when I go out and I have meltdowns, they usually end up in police involvement because my disability is, like, my autism is invisible. And so I have a lot of anxiety just to go to the grocery store, and I try to not move, and I make a lot of weird noises, and so I try to, like, not make the noises and not fidget and not do all those things, and remembering to do all that, it makes it very difficult to go out of my house.
It sounds so tough. And yeah, when people were talking about ABA therapy, there are a lot of side effects to that if we are not careful in approaching our clients with compassion. I feel like because I have worked in ABA in so many settings, I see like the things that we do sometimes that we do not really think about it. Maybe it doesn't come into our mind that actually what we're doing here is forcing the client. Really, we would like to push the clients out of the comfort zone a little bit, but like not forcing them, because forcing too much causes anxiety, and that is a side effect that we don't want for the clients, because it goes with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I get engaged in the conversation about ABA often because people hear about the trauma that I've gone through, and I also like to make it known that when I went to college, I learned about B.F. Skinner, and I learned about behavior modification, and all of these really amazing things that the brain is capable of. And so I'm not somebody, even though I have been hurt by ABA, I'm not opposed to it. I think that the application has come a long way. I think it still has a long way to go, and it's definitely not the only answer for everyone. I also think that it has a lot of potential in not early intervention, because I personally would sign up for ABA services, and not just behavior management, because sure, you can get that, but like ABA style therapy as an adult to get rid of some of these unwanted things, because that continuous, really just repetition thing is still actually, it's necessary. And so it really is a weighing of what's necessary and what's not to get the results that are needed, because there are some instances where behaviors are just so, like, I definitely think you should find the reason for the behavior, because all behavior is communication of some sort. What's the reason? But some things need to be extinguished, changed to a different behavior or whatnot, for the safety of the person and the people in their lives. And so I think that as far as ABA as a whole is, I think that what we know is important. And even the contribution that my trauma made to research is important. I hate that I'm somebody who had to be hurt to get where we are. But I think that ABA has a lot of potential, and I have had my daughter in ABA therapy in my home for things that I wanted help with, and when it was too much for her, we stopped. And so I think that I like the potential of ABA.
Yes, I think it's also life-changing for a lot of my clients too. As you mentioned, like, yes, that's right, that we sometimes we need to, because the goal is to eliminate an undesired behaviors. And that's when science come in. And, with that, ABA science has not been long enough. And so we still have a lot of room to improve.
Yeah. And if people don't speak up about their experiences, then we can't improve. So, but it's hard to have PTSD from ABA and come up and speak about your experiences. But I try to do that in the positive way that I can. And I'm grateful to have a kid that has gone through it too and has had a positive experience so that I can have both perspectives of ABA. And her ABA, her first RBT is still in her life. That she sends her birthday presents and Christmas presents, and my daughter races as well in a wheelchair, and she comes to races and stuff. And so she built a solid relationship. That was something that was difficult for her to do.
It's so beautiful. And it's amazing that you can look past all that. And now you can talk about your previous treatments with so much positivity.
Well, I call that the Pollyanna effect. I intellectualize absolutely everything. Emotions that I can't make logic actually cause me distress. And so I can turn anything into a positive story. And as a kid, that was viewed as me being dissociated or whatever, but I think that it's a coping skill that I developed and something that I like very much about myself now.
Yeah, we will have to go back about that because I have questions about you and your coping strategies. So how did running come into your life?
Well, I always imagined myself running. I wanted to for a long time, but I was very overweight. I got over 714 pounds at my highest because medication and like autistic stim eating and things like that. But I had lost a lot of weight, and I met my wife, and she was a runner, and I told her that I wanted to run, and she said, well, come on. And we got our running shoes on, and I ran my first 2 consecutive miles chasing her down a road in Indianapolis, Indiana, all the way to CVS to get a Gatorade. And I thought I was going to die the whole way. But I did it because I really wanted to impress her because I thought she was amazing. And she was a music therapist for people with autism and intellectual disabilities. And I thought, this person is capable of seeing me, like actually seeing me. And so I huffed and puffed and chased her. And after that, I was addicted to running. I came home and signed up for a half marathon, and I worked my way all the way up to 50K races. And I attempted 100 miles in my wheelchair last year.
You attempted 100 miles.
Yeah, I made it 31 miles before I timed out. You have to make it before the aid stations start closing to stay ahead of the time, because you have 30 hours to complete it. And once you get below that, they cut you. I'm going to try again this year. It's the only thing that I'm training for. I'm doing other small races, but the only thing that I'm training for is the Hennepin 100.
It is a huge one.
And I did start out, it's a big race, yeah. I did actually, for many years, I ran on my feet. I ended up in a wheelchair last year. And because I run with the Ainsley's Angels, because my daughter has always been in a wheelchair, so we've always run together, because I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I can't just go out and run ridiculous miles by myself because I have her. And so we run together. And then when I got in a wheelchair, I had all these really wonderful examples of people really thriving and racing and still living their best life in a wheelchair. So, ironically, speaking, I hit the ground running and just started racing my wheelchair and didn't miss any of the races that I was already signed up for. I just switched to the wheelchair category. And I love running. It allowed me to practice my social skills, to be obsessed with something. So I obsess. I love running. I could talk about running. You got me going. I could talk about running for endlessly. And so I found out that when I joined running clubs and stuff like that, when someone got bored with listening to me, I could move on to the next person and talk about running. And so then I would enter these park runs with a whole bunch of people that were like, hey, Ryan, let's talk about running. And so I learned friendship because I love to talk about running, and so did all these other runners. And I was open about my autism, and it really impacted my life. Like, I became an advocate because of the running community.
Wow. What a story. I love it. So you found the social hub first. You found something that you were interested in, and that is such a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So what gave you that decision to run with Carla?
Well, I mean, the first time that, so I started running, and then I knew that I wanted to join the social club. And so the very first running group that I signed up for, they had a long run every Saturday. But my wife, she's a distance professor of music therapy, and she had to go away for the very first weekend of the my group runs. And so I got a stroller, and I was like, I'm just gonna do, I had been like running on a treadmill at home, but I got a stroller and put her in it and showed up to the group run ready to run with her. And people kept dropping back to the back and trying to help me push her and all that. And it really became this way for people to, it was like a bridge to communicate with people, because it was hard for people to talk to me and follow all my words, but it wasn't hard for people to see the profound love I had for my daughter. And I could just show that by taking her with me. And she loved it. And she would babble, and she hadn't been babbling, but every time we went for a run, we would come home, and she was a silent kid. Like, she would cry, but then she never like made any noise or anything. And we came home from our first few runs, and she'd be like, ba 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 ba. And so,
oh my God, she's so excited.
This social change that happened for me happened for her too. And so it was easy. And then once I started running with her, I found other running groups where people were running with people in wheelchairs. And so it developed very fast.
Such a great thing. Years ago, I saw a video of a dad pushing his son in a wheelchair during a race. And this video hit me really, really hard. I cried the whole time, and I cry till this day. Every time I watch that same video, I cry. At the end of the video, the dad picked up the son, and the son looked like he is in his 20s or something. The dad picked him up and held him in his arm like this, and they both were laughing and crying. I feel like it's such, a raw moment of pure love and happiness. And I share that video. I think I share it with everybody I know. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Is that Rick and Dick Hoyt?
I'm sorry. I don't have a very good memory. I don't remember.
Yeah. I'm bad with names too. I just thought it might be the same video that got me going too, because I was like, oh, and I cried forever the first time I saw that. Yeah.
I think the editor put music behind that video too, and it feels like it connects me to the heart,
Yeah. Ainsley's Angels and all the groups where you can run with people with disabilities and that are promoting inclusion, like Team Triumph. I don't want to start naming them and then miss some of them, but I run with Ainsley's Angels. The person who started that, Ainsley's dad, Rooster, he ran with his daughter. He's a Marine, and he started out running like the Marine Marathon, and now we're like have over like 10,000 riders, and
Wow.
that number is probably way small actually. And it's amazing to be a part of a group of people. Like it grabs your heartstrings when you see those chairs being pushed through the races, and they just move so fast and so amazing.
Yeah. So tell me how you feel when you run.
I feel maybe normal for the only time in my life. Because I move like constantly because I can't, my thoughts don't align right. It's difficult to, like, I vibrate weird, and so I move constantly, but when I'm running, my heart rate matches and my thoughts clear, and I just feel like I can breathe. And I love racing because I love being a part of a group of people all running towards that same destination, but there's no socializing required if you don't want to. And so I just, that big sense of mass parallel play is just, it sends that like shiver down my spine to think about running and crossing that finish line and giving everything that I have and leaving it out there.
Yeah.
For me, racing is about showing the tenacity and the spirit of never giving up that I have within me, because some of the other ways that you might be able to show that to society are barriers for me.
I feel like it is very tough to live in this world because there are boundaries and there are limitations and expectations. And so with all that, I do feel sometimes it's quite tough too. And so movement, like physical movement, body movements are great. Do you feel like you get to live with your true self when you run?
Yeah. Also, you can dress wild and crazy and wear crazy colors and have all, like, it's fun. It's just fun to just be able, the self-expression that can be found within running is amazing.
Yeah, I get it. And let me relate this with some of the kids that I have. You know, kids with autism, they tend to have, I would say it, to be very hyperactive. And some of them need to be on the move all the time. And I feel like they are the happiest when they are on the move. Because sometimes we want them to like maybe just focus for 1 minute, 2 minutes, so that we can get some work done. So is it something that we need?
Well, I think that for me, that if I'm moving, especially if I'm rocking or fidgeting or something like that, I'm at my most focused. And so I understand, like, cognitively in that logic area, that for people around me, that my movement is distracting from the task. But for me to focus, I need to avert eye contact, because I actually look at what's happening. I use my peripheral vision a lot more than my straight on vision. And so those disengaging things, I like lay my head down to read, which is also a sign of a Gestalt learner. I would lay my head down to read and look out the side of my eye. And so all of those movements, like this stuff is like almost like me scrolling through what I need to find, because if I don't keep this movement, then I can't keep what I need in my working memory. So it actually becomes more difficult and leads to frustration because I'm actually focused on stopping all of the things that my brain is doing instead of focusing on what you want me to focus on. And so I think that finding a way, which I know that we're there in research, like they have those like foot swings that go under desks and stuff. We know that movement is sometimes necessary for focus. So I think that avoiding behaviors and stems that are disrupting someone else's learning are acceptable, but if it isn't hurting anyone else, I wouldn't even suggest attempting to because it's meeting a need.
Wow, this is eye-opening. When you mentioned that you read by just laying down, I'm like, wow, really? Nobody told me that before. It didn't even come across my mind that, that is how some of our learners actually learn.
I had a head harness put on my head with this thing on the chair behind me that held my head up at the books, and I had to wear red glasses and read out loud like this sitting up. Oh, it didn't do anything to help me read better or do anything better. It only made me have meltdowns. They wanted me to sit still. But then I would go home and I would read my books on my bed, just nonstop with my head down.
Yeah.
And now we know that. Like when I was a kid, they were just trying to undo all of that stuff that they saw as not good behavior or distracting behavior or things like that. But it was difficult to sit still. That's all I could think about was, I got to sit still. I got to sit still. I got to sit still. And then they ask me a question and I don't know the answer. And so then I'm upset because I'm doing what they wanted, but now they're mad at me because I don't know the answer. So then I feel attacked and then I have a meltdown. And so that creates that PTSD, and that's not even ABA. That's just classroom.
Yeah. Until now, classrooms expectations are very hard for neurodivergent kids as well.
Yeah. Everyone wants to have in everybody in the mainstream classroom, but I feel I wasn't given the opportunity to be in a non-mainstream classroom. I was in the mainstream classroom, and then I had a desk at the principal's office. And then in 5th grade, I went to live in institutions until I was 18, and I didn't go to like public school anymore. But I feel like I would have thrived in a classroom. And so I think that a lot of people look at intelligence and ability to take the test, because I could take like the testing and stuff when it was quiet in the classroom and they dim the lights and they clear your desk, and I could sit there and take those standardized tests all day long because I could rock and circle in dots, and that was fun to me. But the classroom dynamic was difficult for me. But because I did so well in those tests, I didn't get to go into a specialized classroom. And I think that they should look at more than just those kind of things. And now they do, but still not as enough. It's always the goal to not be in that classroom.
Yeah. It's not enough. I've been supporting kids in regular classroom environments, special day classrooms. It's just very tough. I don't think that those classrooms are designed for kids on the spectrum. Ideally, that would be like a whole room with sensory things, toys, swings, something like that.
But also, on that same token, I think that neurotypical kids, the autistic brain needs all that movement and stuff, but that's why we did recess. That's why we have recess, is that we know that every kid needs it. And that was one of the first studies that I did when I was in college that I was a part of, was a cognitive restoration study. And we actually looked at the performance of elementary school 3rd and 4th graders before and after recess. And so I think that swings and sensory toys and the ability to raise your hand and say, can I go swing on the swing for 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
For even in a neurotypical classroom might improve performance. So instead of like make that classroom dynamic of the special education classroom the classroom dynamic of the mainstream classroom.
Right. I agree. Neurotypical kids, neurodivergent kids, they all need sensory movement,
Yeah,
right? And yeah, I think that would be a great idea. I love it. Maybe one day we will see that in
maybe.
all of our schools. All right. So
I
let's
homeschool.
oh, you homeschool. So Carla doesn't go to public school?
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay. May I ask, what gives you the decision to homeschool her?
Well, we tried school at first. She went to school and uh, she was very anxious and she cried the whole time and wouldn't let the teachers come near her. And after much trying and much attempts at intervention, they finally got permission for me to come in the classroom with her.
Yeah.
And so I went in the classroom with her, but even just being in the classroom was still distressing to her. And finally, the teacher said, maybe school's not for everyone.
Not the
And
right
so
environment.
yeah. But she's doing a lot better now with in-person therapies, which she wasn't doing well at for a long time. So we're hopeful that she might try school. We want her to go to school. We want her to socialize if she wants that. But we also want her to feel like she doesn't have to live a life of trauma.
I agree.
And I spent my childhood feeling like I wasn't heard, especially starting at the age that she is right now. And she is non-verbally communicating very clearly what her desires are. And so it's our goal to listen.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the hard times. Autism, parenting. What are some of the hardest moments in your life?
I think that I have autism and I decided to be a parent. And when I decided to be a parent, I didn't really think about how I couldn't have that monotropic me mindset anymore as a parent because Kala didn't choose to be here. I chose to have her. So sometimes when I'm having a meltdown and I need to take care of my needs and I need to put on ear defenders and get under a weighted blanket, Colin needs me too. And so it's been very difficult to learn to navigate my sensory needs and her sensory needs because we both have autism, but we both have different needs. And she is, I say that she's a squeeze me tight autistic, and I'm a touch me not autistic. And so she wants me to be cuddling her and squeezing her and loving her all the time. And my need is to not have physical contact all day, every day. I don't like hugs. I'm not a hugger. The world thinks that I owe them hugs, though. They really do. I say I don't like hugs, and people say, but I do, and they hug you anyway. And so yeah, it's really difficult to learn that, and I really had to take on the mindset that Kala is an extension of me. And so then it kind of became, it bothered me when other people touch Kala because to be able to touch her as much as she wanted to be squeezed, I had to make it where it felt like she was a part of me. I mean, she is, but also. So that was really difficult. The noise level is difficult because I'm loud, but I also like things quiet.
Yeah.
And she's loud, but she likes things quiet. And just finding that balance between each other. My wife is maybe ADHD, but she's not autistic. And so she's dancing around trying to make sure that both of me and Kala are not being bothered by her needs being met. And so it becomes a dance because we both have, me and Kala, the routine that we like to have, and it might differ from what the plans are. So.
Wow. So let's go back to the previous question. We were talking about coping strategies because, you know, you have a lot of needs in your life. Everybody has some different needs. And I'm sure that there are some tough moments that requires regulation. Give me some strategies that help you with your self-regulation.
Well, so I have a sensory diet. I wake up at 5. I don't sleep that well anyway. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and I do pushing and pulling exercises, and I have a wheelchair treadmill that I do about 5 miles on every morning. And because I call it getting the jitters out. It like regulates my nervous system to get my heart rate up really high, starting out early. I clear out my head, and then the pushing and pulling, like lifting weights, like pushing and pulling, because it helps with proprioceptive feedback, and then I feel less easily frustrated, like. And so then when I get frustrated, I feel aggressive. And so I go back and do some weight lift or whatever when I'm feeling that, or I use a weighted blanket. When things are too loud, I wear ear protection. I have like the flight navigators ear protection, the big honking ones. I have those. I do earplugs. I have different types of like just ear dampeners. And sometimes I need like earplugs and headphones to block out the noise that doesn't. And like I struggle. I have ARFID, and so I keep safe foods around so that when I am a level of anxiety, I always have something to eat. I struggle with dehydration, so keeping multiple cups around and stuff like that.
Those are really helpful tips.
It's directly related to my anxiety level. Like how hard it is to eat something outside of my norm. I mostly eat peanut butter and protein shakes.
Peanut butter and plantain chips?
Protein shakes.
Oh, protein shake. I thought peanut butter and plantain chips. I'm like, I would like to try that.
Yeah, that sounds good though. I like plantain chips, so I would eat that with peanut butter. I also like I draw. I keep a journal with me and I draw my feelings because sometimes because I have alexithymia and I can't tell how I feel in the moment, and so I will draw how I feel and assess it so that I can better communicate it. Because if I try to communicate when I'm feeling overwhelmed with emotions, then I will scream and yell and it will be a meltdown.
Yeah, drawing out
because I get
Yeah, go ahead. You were finishing something.
I just get confused. Yeah, I just get confused when I try to explain my emotions and it leads to meltdowns.
I have the same exercises for some of my clients, but those are clients who are a little bit older, who can comprehend the instructions. So I give them an exercise of, drawing out your emotions. You don't have to say anything. You just need to draw it out. And hey, where do you feel your emotions? Is it in your heart or is it in your stomach? Is it in your neck? Something like that. And, that works for a lot of kids. But for younger kids, though, it's harder.
Yeah, for Kala, like for her meltdowns, she doesn't she doesn't self-regulate at all at this point. It's on us to help her through transitions and things like that. So we rock together, me and Kala. I try to. She has cerebral palsy, and she has limited mobility except for her right arm. And so I help her move her body in the way that my body craves movement, and that often helps, but she can't do that herself. And so we'll rock together and we'll bounce together. And she doesn't like hair, so we keep her. She like requests her hair to be cut very short, and we will rub her head because she really likes to have that stimulation on her head when she's upset. I like to give her a countdown between transitions to eliminate the transition struggles. I try to keep her on a very good routine of what we're going to do. And even if it's not a schedule, and I try to emphasize that often, is that not a schedule, a routine. So each task that we do is a dance. And so it's not that she gets her diaper changed at the same time every day. It's that every diaper change goes the same way. So she knows to give me her left leg first, or her, and what I'm going to do, the sequence of things, the routine of it. And that helps her know what comes next, because she likes to feel like she can anticipate what's going to happen next, because there's a lot of anxiety about the unknown.
A routine. I like that. Not much into a schedule. I mean, not much a schedule, right? It's not like a fixed every day.
Not a fixed time, just a fixed pattern.
Does Carla have similar behaviors that you have?
Yeah. She's not as bad in some areas. That some of the behaviors that I did, she has, but they're not as significant as mine. But I recognize them for the same thing they are. I hit myself in the head. And it's one of the things that I talk about when I do speak with crisis intervention teams, is that when I'm in crisis, I will punch myself in the head, and it's actually helping me clear my head. It's helping me keep off the meltdown. And while it looks really aggressive, and it probably is it's definitely hurting me, it's helping the situation. And so she does that, and I know when she's doing that, I don't yell, "Stop, don't do that." I'm like, "Oh no, Kala, what are you doing?" And I know that if she's hurting herself, that whatever need she's tried to communicate, she's failed, and she's reached a level that she's trying really hard to maintain her composure. And so I recognize that. And for me, it's really bad. And for her, you can kind of put your hand in between her hand. But for me, if you stopped me from hurting myself, I would escalate bad.
I think I have seen both. I have seen clients who I succeeded in blocking them from hurting themselves. And I have seen clients who, if I intervene, it doesn't matter what kind of intervention, they will escalate. What would be the best approach? Because I have seen clients who hurt themselves to the point that they causes injury.
I mean, for me, I would hate to answer this question wrong, because everyone is so different, and there's a lot at stake with that question. So for me, what works for me, it's why I do that sensory diet every morning. It's why I wake up and I work out. It's why I exercise, is to I am preloading my nervous system to not do that. And I have to start new every day. Every single day, I do that activity. And it's so I don't reach that point. Because it's not about not having that behavior for me. It's about making the rest of my life homeostasis so that I don't reach that level. Because once I get there, it is what it is, and it has to make its way through. And so I think that if the person is aggressive when you try to intervene, if they're not, I know like some people like will bloody themselves, and so there's not a lot of option with intervening. Maybe try, like, for me, again, the lifting and all that. If I had a weighted blanket dropped around my shoulders, something heavy, something to lift, redirect that force somewhere else that is safe for the person who's there too. Because I hurt a lot of people when I was a kid because people want to protect me, and then I hit them. And so I think that practicing, and I've said that before, is practicing for a meltdown, even with somebody who doesn't really know. Like for Kala, she doesn't know when she's going to have a meltdown or and what a meltdown is, but we do those behaviors like the sensory diet, and sensory diet is different for everyone. An occupational therapist helps you design that. And so for Kala, she would have like a weighted vest and things like that. That give her that pressure and that stimulation to really pull herself back. Because for me, when I'm hitting myself, it's me trying to regulate. And so finding ways to help that person regulate and come back without stopping the hitting. Like, like tossing beanbags into their lap. Like, oh, here comes another beanbag. We don't have enough weight for you yet. Oh, we got to get a little bit more weight. I know. Whatever is happening right now is really distressing. And we're going to get there together, you and I. And just knowing that the behavior is being validated and you're trying to solve it would be what would help me. And then you're at a safe distance.
Great. This is a very good perspective. I'll remember that. Thank you. I am doing a little bit of it. I have this client.
I'm sure. I said,
I
I'm sure you are.
A little bit, but I'm still intervening though. Honestly, I don't like to see my client hurt themselves. It hurts my heart. Yeah.
I know. From the perspective of seeing my daughter do it now, it's completely different. Like my first instinct is to grab her hand. No, don't hit her, because I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hit myself with my fist. So
video of a boy. He looks like he's a teenager, and he was hitting his head like this, and I could see blood on the side of his head. So who or what helped you over these years when things got very brutal?
Me. I've had a lot of good people come into my life. I've had a rough life. And so I've lost some of those good people because I just still didn't have it together. Because once I got out of institutions, I went through addiction and homelessness and all kinds of things before I really finally came around to where I am now. And so, a lot of people. I met a professor when I was in college who has been very impactful in my life. She's still someone that I talk to. I call my Aunt Susie. My grandma was probably, I have a tattoo of my grandma, a sonic screwdriver of my grandma. She was a psychologist, and she very much wanted to see me be okay. She passed away in 2012. But she was always there, and she made sure that there was someone to help me when she was gone, because she had Parkinson's. So she knew that she would deteriorate. And my wife, We've been married for 12 years, or 12 years, for 10 years. And she's been, we both needed someone that could see us for who we were and like work to grow together. And so she's been really good to know that I I don't get an excuse for being autistic, but I do get time.
That is beautiful. And I believe that people come into your life for a reason. Do you think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're meant for you and you're meant for them.
Yeah.
So, what is one way that autism taught you, especially how to handle chaos?
Well, I think that the thing that autism gives me, maybe not taught me, but at the same time taught me, is tenacity. Like I relentlessly will chase the thing that I want when I want it. And when I learned that I could target that, because when I was younger, what I was interested in just kind of happened. But now I can target that interest and chase my goals relentlessly. And that feels good to me.
Mm-hmm.
That I can survive anything just by keeping going with that tenacity.
Beautiful. Some people say that autism is a superpower. What do you think about it?
I think that there are parts of it that could be perceived as a superpower because we are released from the social obligation of society, or at least our brain is released from that. And so I think what seems natural for us seems superpower for other people, but I think that you can choose to look at it as a superpower or your kryptonite. It's a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm. And what is Kala's superpower, do you think?
What is Kala's superpower?
Yeah.
She never gives up. She never gives up. She was born at 23 weeks. She was only 1 pound, 5 ounces. And around every corner, people were telling us that she was going to die. She wasn't going to make it. The part of her brain that makes a person is damaged, all of these things. But Kala has shown us every single step of the way that she wants this life and everything it has to offer. And she goes in full joy or full rage, either way. If she hates it, she hates it. And when she loves things, you know it. And so that's her superpower, is that she just tenacity, just like me.
She's a free soul. And what is the one thing you need people to know about autism?
That our struggles are often invisible, and if we tell you that they exist, then they exist.
And okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that simple. It's that simple. We know us.
Mm-hmm. And years from now, what do you see your life with your family? What do you want to achieve?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I've achieved what I wanted. I want to have a family and a nice home and all of that. And so what I want to see is that I want to leave the world a better place than when I got here, and hopefully leave a legacy that protects Kala and other autistic people who don't have the same loud, obnoxious voice that I have.
Your voice is powerful. And I think you are doing exactly what you should be doing. You are doing it. Appreciate your story so much, and thank you for sharing your story with us. It is the kind of story that I think will change the world. and make us all kinder and more understanding toward each other. You are really showing us what it means to live a fulfilling life against all odds. There's a lot there to appreciate and to respect.
Thank you. That means a lot, because when I was little, that's what they said in the first institution I went to. They told my mom that I'd probably never be able to form meaningful human connections.
Oh my God. Look how far we have come. Now it's more and more and more of us are aware of what autism is, and we are trying, to go and to help. It's not like I don't feel like I need to fix anyone, but I feel like I need to connect with people, especially people on the spectrum, because I don't understand their world. And it's a fascinating world. I would love to go in. I would love to understand how you work. Maybe I can learn something from you. And to be honest, I have learned to be a better person than I was before. Now I know what stimming is. Before knowing autism, I probably would just look at the behavior and quickly judge. Everybody has the right to express love and happiness in their own ways.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, you have a great position to be a person for autism, because as an ABA therapist, you have the opportunity to be the person, because just existing with autism is kind of just excruciating. Everything's intense, either like intensely bland or intensely loud, or like it's extremes, and so you have the opportunity to find ways to ease that for people and help them connect with the world, and so I think that's good that you're learning so much about autism. So I like it a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
You have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.